We're going to call our meeting to order. We have an amazing agenda tonight. I'm so glad you all could participate. Having a crowd full of people in the council chambers is amazing. So, yeah, especially for a budget workshop. So, Rich, do you have an overview of the general budgetary issues that we did not discuss last time?
I don't have anything else to discuss at this point. So
Okay.
there'll be some minor things that come through as we reconcile our estimates with some actuals, but I'll let you know
Sounds good.
when those come through.
I do have a question though. So if we do have our emergency specialist department person, are they going to have like their own department or is it just like them? It's kind of like Kirk has his like economic development, or is it?
It'll be part of Public Works, and
Okay.
Paul's going to talk about that very thing today.
Very nice. I'm sorry I stole your thunder, Paul. Yes, I'm sorry.
The only thing you had to discuss.
Yeah, that's
More of the big projects.
Nothing like being a thunder stealing
I
chair.
know, sounds good grief. Maybe like we should like read the minutes and we'll know what's happening. So, all right, Mark Montgomery. Let's hear what.
Very excited because so far my PowerPoint's giving me an error.
Yeah, what Light and Power has to share with us today.
You have it
They
memorized.
already shared a lot last week.
He did. You have 10 minutes, starting now.
Oh, geez.
And
This PowerPoint doesn't work.
Teresa is going to be timing you today.
We put
So
Mark in charge. I think
So Teresa, does Craig drive a motorcycle?
well, it's got a big video in it, so I think it's just
Ride.
No?
Drive one.
yeah, you ride a motorcycle.
Did you sell
Yeah.
yours, Mark?
That is Ronette's motorcycle, not my motorcycle. That is
I
Ronette's
thought I
motorcycle.
saw a person who looked just like
It's
him
still-
riding a motorcycle down
my
Second
cool,
North.
my cool video is probably not
In a
gonna
suit.
work.
Ride motorcycles.
Your cool video, you said?
Yeah.
Makes me like Ronette even more.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I know she
Now you
got
got
a
me
license
curious.
like
I
a long
want to see
time
this
ago.
video.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, you have 9 minutes now.
Okay, this just kind of gives you an overview of the lay of the land over the last several years for our total budget for the Light and Power Department. You can see that large jump between 23 and 24. That was when power prices went nuts and we
Crazy.
started putting the surcharge in. And anyways, things have obviously not really come down.
But they've mellowed out a little bit, so we're not having a
Yeah,
So when you're
and
a
talking,
20%
you're talking
increase.
total budget, you're talking total
this is total
expenses.
department expenses.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes.
But I'm gonna make way more than that. According to Rich, no.
Let's hope so. Yeah. Way to go, Rich.
So there is a difference between 2024 and 2025, and most of that can be attributed to, well, more expenses, but with the 2% rate increase that you're considering now in city council, that should cover pretty much all that. So. And we're gonna make way more money.
And there's no dredging this budget.
No, but I've had a lot of people email and wish we'd start on third dam immediately, but I just said, no money.
Yeah, tell them
We'll
to
work on it.
pony up a little money.
This just carves out the power purchase budget, and Uchi pretty much kept it level from last year to this year. So of the 49,000, 31.6 million is, or 49 million, not 49,000. Of the 49 million, 31.6 million is what we use to purchase power, and then an additional 2 million is what we purchase natural gas to run the generators over at SOC.
It's a $392 increase. What?
I know. I may have rounded.
Do we have an estimate on how much we save by generating with natural gas?
No, I don't prepare that. I'm trying to think of how I would pull that together. We have what we call a strike price. And if prices are on the market a certain point and we need the energy, if they're more than this amount, and I'll say it's in the neighborhood of $85 to $90 a megawatt hour. And that takes into account the cost of fuel and also considers some monies for maintenance of the machines to run them. So if we can purchase power for cheaper than that and we need the money, then we'll purchase it. But if we can't, which sometimes in the summer when it's going crazy, $1,000 a megawatt hour, we'll fire those things up.
Totally worth it.
But if we're kind of in the middle, it just depends on where that market power purchase price is. And if Yuchi's pretty good at scheduling our power, but she likes to schedule a little bit short, and that's generally financially better for us if we do that. So
She's like a gem.
she is.
She's a
She's
gem.
threatening to retire in a couple of years, and I tell her she can't, but she doesn't listen to me anyway.
We
So.
agree, we agree, yeah.
She does what she
She is worth 10 times
She
her
does a
weight
great
in
job.
gold.
She's fantastic.
Is she teaching someone else how to do her job?
Kind of. Yes and no.
Okay.
Kind of.
It's like part of our risk management, right?
Yeah, we
Making sure we
definitely,
have someone to step
we
in.
definitely have what do you call the plan? The succession plan. Thank you.
There we go.
So,
Everyone needs a succession.
this is actually, I should have taken this slide out, but this slide is from between that 2023 and 2024 amounts right here,
Okay.
the $9 million
I was like,
difference.
huh? Where's that coming
And
from?
that's,
I thought it was
I missed that from
$392.
tuning it up from last year, so I apologize. There's nothing new here. Keep moving.
I saw that.
Okay, I want to just give a quick update on some of the bigger projects. Third dam, we aren't planning on doing any sediment removal immediately unless maybe we do kind of a DIY thing with the streets in the winter or something, but we have a lot of permitting that has to be completed before we can even consider that, so that's ongoing. Franson Engineering is the company that's working for us. Lance Hauser is kind of the guy that's helping us work our way through that.
Lance just works through all
Yeah,
kinds of
if
water.
we dredge third dam, how much more power can we generate?
Well,
Approximately.
it's not, it's dredging, it's refurbishing the generation equipment, and it's redoing all of the controls and breakers and PLCs up in there. And if we get it all running the way we should and we have maximum amount of river flow, we could do 1.5 megs. But we've never generated that much, so it's closer to maybe maximum of 1 meg, 1,000 kilowatts, down to a few hundred.
Still.
So it's a small generation plant. That's why it kind of took a back seat.
What's it
now what
generating
does-
right now?
It
Nothing.
doesn't generate anything right now because those machines are
Right.
90 years old. And there's not much left of them.
Okay.
So it would not just be dredging, it would be redoing the entire plant. for
Yes,
third dam.
that's why we've kind of slowed down and refocused on this new generation station.
Okay.
So we still want to do it, and I get a lot of feedback. This is a picture of second dam, and I kind of just wanted to show, you can see all this kind of stuff out of the water. And when they first launched this barge to dig the sediment out, it used its tracks to crawl, so it was not more than a few feet deep, almost the entire reservoir. But most of that reservoir now is probably close to 18 to 20 feet deep. They took a lot of stuff out of there, and it's, oh, maybe this will work. Maybe it won't.
Russ,
This is the only picture I have. It's a drone video that we took towards the end. And you can just kind of see the depth of the reservoir. Right here, next to the reservoir, it's still fairly shallow. That was the very last piece they did as they came out. But as this drone pans towards the northeast, you can see just kind of the green, deeper water where they took that reservoir down to that 18 to 20 feet deep. And then this piece on the left side of the screen, you can see where it's still shallow. That was actually the last place they came upstream towards the dam and scooped that out as they came and cleaned that all out. So that's all gone at this point in time as well. So,
did you do the drone video?
It'd be much smoother.
and like I say, I've had quite a bit of feedback. People are thrilled that that's an open reservoir again instead of,
Yeah.
It's fishable now.
yeah, it's fishable and you can get your paddleboard out. And
Nice.
unfortunately, you better wear a life jacket for sure now. You'll be in over your head if you jump
Rusty
off.
Keita's
But
ready
it's interesting because this left side is what most of the reservoir looked like, that shallow, muddy
Yeah.
stuff. So
That's awesome. How long do we expect before we have to do this again?
well,
Roughly.
our plan is to watch it. We think that if we can get to third dam fairly quickly, that it'll do the sediment trapping for us because we can manage third dam easier than this. We have to do this exact same procedure to do second dam because we can't drop the reservoir level, but we can drop the reservoir level at third dam so we can get in there with the equipment a little easier and clean. So we're hoping to get to that. I'm hoping every 3 to 4 years, maybe.
You can just touch up third
At
dam.
third dam, I'm hoping to have to do very little at second dam.
Okay.
In fact, since it was built,
That watercolor.
this is the first time it's ever had kind of a wholesale removal.
Look
That's
how
what I
pretty the
thought.
water is now.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Like, looks
Go
nice.
snorkeling.
Yeah. We could get Sakina to put a high dive there, 20 feet. So,
I just wanted to touch on the natural gas generation
Could charge
station that
extra.
we're working on. We've changed locations from substation 9 down on 1800 North and 1800 South and 10th West to our other substation up north on 1800 North, and the reason is mostly because of space. When we started laying out the plant and sizing the equipment, we were no longer able to get cranes and things in, like if we had to change a transformer out, we could get a crane into that.
But you said that we put it in the original location because of the ease of natural gas access.
It's going to cost us about $3 million more to get natural gas to this other site, but
3 million more than the 21 million, roughly.
no, the 21 million had a contingency in it. The original bid was, well, I didn't bring all the numbers for that project, but I'm happy to share those with
I
you.
was just curious, but it would be roughly still 21 million. Give or take.
Right now, I'm at about 21.5,
Okay.
so I am over the amount I pulled out, but we're talking about that as well. Let's talk about that now, but I think that's the last slide I have.
okay.
So
Any questions?
we're
I have
business
questions.
as
I
usual
do.
with the exception of a few very, very large projects.
This number.
Is that,
Budgetary
does that sum it up?
Yeah, yeah, it really does.
So how do you feel about the reserve level with power going forward?
I feel pretty good. We've got our fingers in a lot of projects. In fact, today was the official commercial operation date of Steel Solar, which is over kind of by Nucor. We have 5 megawatts from that. I don't know, half dozen months ago, we talked about Red Mesa Solar coming online with 5 megawatts, and we have 4 or 5 other projects that we're in the steady phase that, will begin to work their way through. Those are, anywhere from a couple of years to several years out.
And then you've got the project where they're going to dig the pipeline to bury all the wires at some point at the mouth of Logan Canyon? Is that
Yes,
correct?
yeah, the UDOT, Rocky Mountain Power, Logan City joint
Okay.
project, Rocky Mountain Power to put power lines under
And that
lines.
will happen,
They're starting this year, this summer,
okay.
and it's supposed to go till fall of 2025.
So you'll finish second dam and start the tunnel. So it's-
Well, honestly, Rocky Mountain Power's gonna do most of that work
Okay,
because they won't let us do it. They don't want us in their way while they do stuff. We're just paying for conduit, and paying for our share of the trenching and the trench restoration, road restoration.
They're gonna do all of it.
Now, all this does is install junction boxes and conduit in the roadway. At some future point in time, we're gonna have to buy wire and actually pull it in and rewire it, but
so what is the goal of this thing that they're putting in the road?
well, ultimately, they started doing it so they could have cellular service up Logan Canyon. But Rocky Mountain Power has lots of cabin sites up the canyon that they provide power to, and those are all overhead. And you all have heard the hubbub about utilities causing wildfires and storm events and stuff. So they just want to get away from that liability, and frankly, so do we. In fact, Rocky Mountain Power has a checklist now that if there's a fire within 6 miles of their transmission line, they'll shut it off, period. Which, think about a wildfire up Smithfield Canyon, that's within 6 miles of the transmission that feeds us. By their guidelines, they'll shut us off.
So we would have no power?
We would have no power. And no say.
Yeah, and no say in it. So it's a good thing we provide our own power. Yeah.
We'd have our own generation, which obviously.
We would,
not
and we could route it to support emergency operations like the hospital and such,
But I would have no power.
you
Chief
would
Simmons
not
would
have
have power
much.
though.
We have a plan of rolling blackouts. If we had enough power, we could let people have power for a few hours and then move it around the city if we had enough available. That'll get better once we get this other natural gas generation station in place. We'll have 10 more megawatts.
Yeah.
So I have a question on the budget for you.
Okay?
Maybe this is a total new guy question, but I was looking at your budget on page 17, and you've got the budgetary revenues line that this year was the first year that there was anything on it, and it's 26 million.
Revenues?
Budgetary revenues, yes.
Revenues?
Page 17, Rich.
Rich is looking at it.
I was looking at it this afternoon going, what is that number?
This is the first time I've bought my actual full budget because I never have to use it. Now you're asking a
I'm
question.
sorry. Next year you can bring it for me. I tried to read this.
So
Whole thing.
budgetary revenues is technically use of reserves.
Okay, I was wondering if that's what it was.
Yeah, we budget for a fake revenue, which is pulling from our savings account.
So is this looking at
Budgetary
it?
expenses is the opposite, placing it in reserves.
Okay, so that 26.2 is, I'm assuming, dredging and then the natural gas power plant on 1800 North.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my
Public
guess,
Canyon
but-
project.
And a
Yeah,
pain.
but it's pulling from reserves,
Spending everything we had.
Cool. Spending everything we have.
which is why we're not spending anything next year. Got it.
That's right. So,
That was what I assumed. I appreciate it. Thank you.
so where are we at on our percentage of renewables? Are we like on our goals? I know we've had goals in the past.
Well,
Where we'd like to be.
I should-
we're doing pretty good. A lot of it depends on how you account for it. Straight up renewables in our portfolio, we're probably in the 20 to 30% range. A while ago, Mike Taylor, some of you know Mike Taylor, he's on our renewable board and on the power board, did a kind of a analysis of the power that we buy from the market and looking at the market, CAISO, which is California Interchange Power Market. Most of that comes out of the Northwest, and a certain percentage of that is all hydro, so he feels like we're about 50% renewable if you account that way, but that's a soft way to account for what our actual renewables are. But everybody's moving that direction all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Do we have anything that still comes from coal?
Yes, we do, thankfully, or we wouldn't have power tonight.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
We didn't have power tonight. Good answer.
We wouldn't have power tonight?
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I turned my AC on
Well,
this
solar
afternoon.
might be working for a little bit more, but not much.
Yeah.
Good, gotta add to that.
Interesting. Okay.
No, our peak loads are generally around 8 to 9 o'clock. If it weren't for fossil fuels, we wouldn't be able to
Trouble.
have power.
Yeah. Amy, you have any questions for Mark? No more questions for Mark?
Is Amy still there?
Yeah. Hopefully Amy's still there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
For the client.
All right. Good evening, Karen.
How are you?
Doing great. We are so excited to hear your budget of the library, the new library.
The budget hasn't changed. So there's a delay between the YouTube video, so it might take me a minute sometimes to.
Did you catch that?
There's a delay, something.
There's a delay. Say that again, Amy?
Feels like we're talking to the International Space Station.
Losing Amy there, so.
So, Amy, maybe call me and I'll just put you on speaker that way?
Sounds like a good resolution to me.
All right,
Go
you
ahead,
ready?
Karen.
Okay, here's our Logan Library budget for 24-25. Our strategic plan initiatives, I'll let you read through these or I can send them to you. But basically, we just want to be everything for everybody, which we can't do. And our accomplishments I put from March through May is we opened, and that was the day we opened right there, and we've held over 9 story times with over 1,000 people. We've issued over 2,000 library cards. We've had over 140 meetings. We've checked out over 88,000 items, and over 54,000 patrons have walked through our doors. So we've been busy.
Just a few.
For our grants, this last year we got a maker space, which we were able to buy for our new room. We have laser cutters, sewing machines, STEM supplies, and a lot of other things that our IT librarian is really excited about. And then for our CLEF grant, we have we were able to do that with technology and collection development. We've bought laptops, monitors, and assistive technology computers. And then, I forgot to bring my sample, but a Vox Books is a book that a kid can take home and listen to it right there. The sound and everything is right there. You don't have to have a player, you don't have to have anything else. And we're also working on some other early literacy readers, because those are the ones that kids go through really fast, and we are really popular, and they wear out quickly. This is our staff resources. We have these are the numbers we use for our salaries and benefits for full-time and part-time people. We rarely use overtime. I don't allow overtime, and we aren't an emergency. We don't have to be open. We have employee recognition that we use. We do subscriptions, memberships, and this year we were able to do some travel and training finally, and able to go to state and national conferences. So it was exciting that we haven't done that lately. This is the cobblestone path, because it was fun to put in here, and these are the supplies that we buy. Postage, paper, and toner, and then processing supplies are books that come already pre-processed, so it's easier for us. Cases for AV items, label stock, and then RFID tags for our security system. And if I tell you how that works, then I'd have to kill you later. 425, or electronic maintenance is what we use for all of our databases, including our online catalog. And then patron and staff technology is what we use for magazine subscriptions, and then as well as everything that we have, telescopes, Blu-ray players, blood pressure kits. We have a ton of fun Aurelia kits that people can check out, Wi-Fi hotspots, and Chromebooks. So, collection development, adult fiction and adult nonfiction each receive $50,000 to purchase items for their collections. Children's also receives $50,000, and the Teen Tween collection receives $30,000, and this is the Teen Tween area right here.
It's funny how people want those new books.
Yes,
That's
they
crazy.
like new books. We have to continue to buy new books. The city provides, has asked that we provide these things, the ads and publications, professional technical cell phones for staff, which is basically mine, IT assessments, and risk assessments. And that's our butterfly, because it's so awesome. And then facility is salary and benefits for 3 part-time staff, and the facilities is coordinated by Mike Miller and Public Works. And then we have money set aside for indoor maintenance, outdoor maintenance, utilities, professional, technical, and special supplies. And we have no idea what our utilities are going to be like this summer, so next year I'll be able to give you an
I was going to ask you how the utilities are
We don't know yet.
coming out so far.
Yeah. Summer reading program, please join us for Adventure Begins at Your Library. Future planning, Amy asked me to do this. What we should do is survey patrons to determine what hours to increase. If we were to add a Sunday hours 1 to 5 and increase our Saturday hours, we currently are open 1 to 6, and patrons are waiting at the door when we get there. And if we went back to 10 to 6, we would need to hire more full-time staff and more part-time staff. And we would also have to have additional custodial support for cleaning the library on weekends, which does not happen right now.
Can you get us some numbers on what those might cost?
I could get you numbers, but it would be expensive, and I would need time to figure out exactly how much that would be.
I know Rich's salary is pretty high, so since he'll be filling in part-time. So.
And there's our beautiful mural. 5 minutes. Do you have any questions?
Awesome. Questions for Karen?
Hold on, because Amy said there is a good minute delay.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, that's fine. I've
So-
got minutes to
Yes,
plan.
you have
so.
minutes to provide, so.
I just wanted to keep all the color in there, so.
Yeah, so are you up to the pre-unique library situation staffing?
Yes,
So I know you eliminated some staff members.
We did. We went down to 17 staff members while we were down in the service center, and in January and February, we hired 11 staff members. We're back up to 28. We are very, very tight. If we have someone take a vacation and then also someone gets sick and somebody else gets sick, we are scrambling to cover all the shifts because we have more desks to cover, and it just is harder. And then to do all the programming we want to do, we haven't opened our makerspace yet, mainly because we're still getting the supplies for it, but also because we're going to have to ask volunteers to come in and help us teach classes.
So wasn't that part of what the company that named the room, they said they wanted to come in?
They will
and do
come
that?
and help us.
Okay.
We just barely are getting all the supplies, the
Okay.
makerspace grant spent and so forth.
So Amy's question was, oops, it's going away. Amy asked, so with the proposed tax increase that we are discussing, how much money will be generated, Rich?
Isn't it
That would be
80,
library related.
84, 80 something?
Yeah, it's about 80,000. It's about the same as the general fund.
80? Okay.
Huge
So if we do that, what would you propose using that for? That
Well,
extra
we
80,000?
currently owe some money to the Light and Power Department that they would like to have back. So we need to pay that off and get that paid off. And
How
then
much are the other light and power?
if we could do something more for staffing, wages are always
years have they been
an
out
increase.
before?
I have full-time library technical assistants that are making making around $14 an hour, and in our economy and with our with the way housing is they have a hard time making ends meet. Most of them have roommates or still live at home.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find a livable wage with that.
Which staff is that?
The full-time library technical assistants.
So, Rich, I will elaborate a little bit more on that question. When we originally initiated that portion of property tax to go to the library, it was under the understanding that that piece would be adequate to repay whatever was borrowed to help complete the building. And now we're essentially adding to that. Is that use to, I mean, would you expect that all of it would go toward repaying the debt?
Yeah, remember when we talked about raising taxes, I think this is what you're talking about, Jeannie, is when we raised taxes originally back in 2017.
Right.
I mean, it was super hard to estimate. It was a start to start saving and to pay for debt service, but it's not enough, no.
So,
And this will add to that, but this also just pays for ongoing operations of the library. What we're estimating, I mean, the library's budget is $2 million, roughly, $2.5 million.
Pertain, yeah.
$80,000 is 3% raise, I mean, for employees, 3% increase in power and heating and cooling, 3% increase in maintenance and everything else. And as we all know, over the last several years, that is not cutting it. So
what do you propose?
I think if we stay on this path and do small increases over time, but continue to do it, it will amount to something and it will allow us to move forward. So I do think this will be fine. It's just not going to solve it all in 1 year. It'll take 10 years. But in 10 years, I think we'll be in a good position if we raise it 3%.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Still wanna do it all.
Well, no, I'm asking whether we have adequately
Address the lack of
prepared
funds.
the library for success. We built a beautiful building, we built a community resource, but did we prepare adequately citywide for it to succeed in the way that we had hoped?
I mean, that's a tough question. In government, if you give it to me, we will spend it.
Well, I know that.
And so that's a really tough question to ask. Are we okay? I think that the answer to that question is, as far as we know right now, yes. We feel like the 3% increase in property tax will sustain us. We'll be able to pay back the debt, although it's going to take some time. I think that's what we're saying with this budget. We think we're okay, but what we don't know is what it takes to operate this building yet. We won't know that for probably several years.
So Amy's questions were, is that increase enough? Does it provide enough? Or should we accelerate the rate to go faster with the new demand?
Tough question to answer. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to open on Sunday, then you're going to have to raise taxes on everybody more.
Well,
Is that kind of the question?
my preference would be that they would be able to be open on Saturday,
More?
10 to 6.
Yeah.
Because you're currently 1 to 4.
We're currently 1 to 6.
1 to 6.
But I think also part of that ought to be looking at times when maybe it's not as productive as it could be, the library. Maybe we aren't open on Monday mornings, I'm just saying that for or Monday afternoons, or Monday evenings, or Tuesday
We
during these times.
close an hour earlier every day and then open it more on Saturdays or
Possibly we
something.
look at that first, and that would be a shift in priorities, and we prioritize times when people want it to be open for times when maybe we have less customers. That would be, one solution.
Right. I
But I do
understand
think
that.
it'll take time for us to figure out how we want to do it and what we want to do.
So do you believe that this increase will adequately allow them to function efficiently and effectively for the next year?
We've got the original budget that we're just going to stick by and do our best and keep going with what we are right now. It may, the part that's not happening is the programming part with the makerspace, and if we can get volunteers to help us, then we'll be okay. But otherwise we are strained to the max right now.
Sounds like everyone else. Too. Like everybody's dealing with this.
But not unlike any other department.
Yeah, I was going to say every
And there are
department.
no less unfunded needs than any other department in the entire city. There are no, we just have, basically, if you get us more money, we will do more. But I think for the time being, I think this is the wisest course of action. In the future, we may come back and say, you know what? We've looked at these, we don't have many alternatives. If we want more service, then we definitely have to increase taxes more.
Okay.
I just think this year, there are so many unknowns
We gotta
that it's
We got to get a year under our belt first.
it'd almost be foolish for us, just because I think there are also unknown efficiencies to be gained that we won't know about until we've ran it for X amount of time.
And we
We can
really,
close down this area and it doesn't matter, and we increase staff over here or something.
we really need to find out what exactly the public wants. And, we need to do surveys and do, just ask some questions.
So did you say that you foresee raising taxes, or recommending, I guess, raising taxes every year?
I do.
A little bit.
Just basically to keep up with inflation. And the reason is if we don't, it actually does decline as a percentage of revenue, as it has over the last 10 years where we haven't raised it in the general fund.
So is that the best strategy, or is it better to do every 3 years
Rip
or
the
every
Band-Aid
4
off.
years?
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility as well. If we did it less frequent, we would have to do more each time.
Yeah.
For instance, 6% every other year. I think smaller increases more frequently is better financially. Because remember how we said with property tax, it's not like we raise it 3% and then it impacts the taxpayer for 3%. But we raise it 3% and it impacts the taxpayer 25% one year because their house was evaluated and somebody else's wasn't. And I think it keeps those impacts relatively small as well. Those are completely outside of our control, I know, but I think smaller increases over time is wiser. Now, if we get in a position where that will not sustain the library, for instance, then I think we have to look at larger increases or decrease service or kind of reshuffle what we're doing, reprioritization.
Or a little bit of all three.
It's just super hard to answer questions when we just don't have.
When we've only been open for 2 months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So-
especially that utility question, we don't know.
just don't know. Yeah.
So Karen, I noticed when I was at an event at the library that there seemed to be a lot of young individuals using the computers for long periods of time.
We've been waiting for our software to come, and we finally are getting that at the end of this week, we hope. And then that will eliminate a lot of that. We'll have time constraints back on, and people will have to use a library card or a guest pass to log on. And we haven't had that for 2 months because we've been waiting for this software to come through. And it's been a game, and I finally just said, no, if you don't do this now, then we will go elsewhere. And then that's where we got it. They could do it this week.
Show us the
See, Karen, you can do this.
I can.
You can be nasty like me.
Yes, I can. I've been taught well.
Oh, yeah. Well, good, because I think that, it prevents people from, more people from being able to use the systems.
Yes, exactly. And so, we've just had a lot of things happen that we didn't anticipate, and all the kids using our public internet computers has been different than it's been in the past, so. Usually kids come in with their own devices, but this year we've had kids coming in use our brand new computers.
And they can go anywhere, right?
No, they have filters on them. We
Okay.
have filtering content on them.
Okay, good.
No, we cannot go anywhere.
We cannot go anywhere. Okay.
I
Very
was
good.
like, oh,
We try to prevent everything, but you can't prevent everything,
Everything.
so you try to prevent.
well, I also worried that they would, there would be people that would sit on there and play games for hours and hours and hours.
And they will. We have learned that. They will.
And so those filters will help mitigate that.
They don't mitigate the games, but this will create the time limits so that kids are only allowed certain many time limits per day.
Well, anybody.
And anybody, yep.
Okay.
Anybody will have that, because it's adults too.
Okay.
Any other questions for Karen?
Let me see, wait a minute. I keep having messages. Okay. She said, she talked about altar days like you did, Rich. And then she also asked, given the overwhelming support for the new building, would it work to have a slightly higher increase this year? I know no one likes increases, but I am concerned about providing adequate services here. She said, my call dropped, so you are my link. I'll text Jeff if I want to talk and he'll call back. So,
So she's concerned that it's not enough.
she's concerned that the increase maybe should be slightly higher this year. But that's not a conversation for today, really, is it?
And it is.
It could be.
I need to know, and I need some time, certainly,
Yeah.
to work that into the budget if that is a discussion.
Sure.
I think the problem is we just don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think what we're doing is responsible, and we'll figure it out as we go forward. If there are other ideas,
Well,
if there's a plan to do things that I'm not aware of, then yeah, certainly we're not going to make it.
Well.
But if the plan is to try to run the library as we've run it with some small tweaks and reprioritization, then I think what the budget that we have is responsible. I just don't know what
Yeah.
a 6% increase,
Well.
160,000 as opposed to 80. I'm not sure.
well, I mean,
about
there could be somewhere in between.
It could be, but again,
What I'm concerned about is that there is a community expectation we talked about it being a community building, we talked about, that they do a lot of programming for children and adults. that we may not have an adequate budget to provide at this point in time. Because as you said, there's a lot of unknowns. But I would rather have a small cushion toward those unknowns that could be applied to the debt if we don't need it, but we have it in hand rather than scrambling in, December when we find out that utilities are more than we anticipated or whatever is more than we anticipated. And we have to find it somewhere in the general fund.
Well, that won't happen.
Stop. So that's
It will
my,
come from the library's restricted monies, but,
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we could do whatever we want, but that would be.
but that would be, I tend to agree with Amy in that regard because I think that it is, we don't know what's coming. And perhaps we should be a little more prepared than just,
Let's see what happens.
let's see what happens. So,
Yeah.
Which I agree with, but I also think that I would like to see public, you have on that last slide that you went to, the public survey. I would like to see what the public wants before I'd be willing to.
well, the challenge is that we have deadlines with respect to any tax
Sure.
increases.
Sure.
So.
Which is August.
For a year.
Something.
August 1st will be our hearing. That's going to be
Right.
the drop.
But that has to be all, Rich has to do all the background work for that.
But it would still give us 6 weeks to get some sort of surveys out, have an idea of the temperature of that before, that would be my thought.
Of what our citizens are
Right.
looking for. So.
And I'll-
Because I agree with the Sundays, but if we find out that
I don't,
0.6% of people wanted open Sundays, then I don't know if it's worth doubling our tax rate.
yeah, see, well, my idea, my thought would be.
Somewhere in between, sure.
Saturday
Right.
would be more.
But I think
4
knowing,
hours on Saturday.
I like the idea of the survey to find out what library visitors want.
And also, there are efficiencies to be gained. And I'd like to see some of those kick in.
He
Government's
looks-
propensity is to spend,
Yeah.
and I hate it.
And I hate it.
So I would, there has to be a force, a mechanism for making efficiency part of the
And that
process.
force is
In
rich.
the private sector, that force is bankruptcy. In
Right.
the public sector, that force is sometimes
A guy to
not as
pull up.
much as you'd like.
Reducing services.
Not as much resources as you'd like, so people have to get creative. So that's just my personal bent. I like to err on that side as opposed to
Taxing
Well,
more
see,
than
I'm
we
like,
need to.
I want your head straight up and be right in the middle.
That side compared to that side. Yeah. So.
I'm not I'm not saying double
No,
Yeah.
at all, but and I'm perfectly willing to go along with Mike's suggestion that we do actually, that you.
I would just like an idea of the
Yeah.
temperature of the room before we,
And you can definitely do that.
because I also feel like Karen hasn't sat over here and say, I need the increase either.
Yep, I need it.
No, it's
I mean,
tight.
obviously everyone would take it,
It's
but
really tight, but we need some time to figure this out. I mean,
Right.
I was just given this 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I haven't had time to decide how much, figure out the schedule, figure out how many more people we would exactly need, how this is going to impact us. I know that Saturday is a concern for people, but the reason we chose 1 to 6 is because when we were open before, from 10 to 11, we had hardly anyone come in. So again, we would like to see what to do. And then meetings, or, evenings, maybe we don't stay open as late. Maybe we don't stay open till 9, maybe we only stay open till 8. Or we have a short staff for the last hour when we have meetings going on, and just keep the meetings going, and we don't have people in there. I mean, there's a lot of
well, there's probably also
things
possible for like a
going on.
summer hours with your Saturdays and do it for 3 months of the year, but not the entire year or something too. I don't know, but I think
I can also prep for that August 1st meeting, knowing that this is an issue that the council wishes to kind of discuss. I can prep for that August 1st meeting and have a number of alternatives for that.
I would appreciate that, and I believe Amy would as well.
I would second and
I
third.
won't have it until the first meeting in June. I won't have that data. And I
That's
may not
okay.
have it until the second meeting in June, which is when we adopt.
That's okay.
But I will have it for the August 1st meeting.
There you go.
Every once in a while, the county gives me the data. The county has given me that data the day we adopted, like hours before we adopted.
I know.
It's not just the county, it's also the state. But for the most part, they've been very good about getting that early in June. So.
Okay. Sounds great. Did we get all of our questions answered?
Did we stay on the 10-minute timeline? Is really my
I
big
believe it was
question.
over.
Because Karen was, she was perfect on her 5 minutes.
Karen did an amazing
And then
job.
we
I did it
way too long.
fast,
Yes.
and I will forward you the strategic plan, so you
That
know
sounds
where we're
great.
going, that we are trying to meet all the needs of all.
I think it will be great to experience what our needs are.
Yeah.
That's what we really need. That's
what
what we really need to do. It's like we gotta have some experience to find out, you know, what's going to cost. Yeah. No, it's like, we don't know what electricity is gonna be for cooling, but I would assume it's gonna be better than the old building, and heat has to be better than the old building, but we'll find out.
Put those solar panels on the top, you know.
Yeah, so,
We will find out.
we will find out.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks,
Thank
Karen.
you.
All right. Chief Simmons, you now have 5 minutes.
I'm totally good with that, I promise. I would have worn a tie,
And then we'll
but
take 20.
Paul said I had stars, so that's.
We gave Paul
so
with her
That's
15.
all right.
Well,
Come
Paul needs a little
on.
longer.
Yeah, Paul's only gonna get 7, so.
Okay, this is my first time doing this, so. I
Is
hope
it
you
your
guys-
first
my
time,
very
too?
first time, yes. So hope you're patient
So
with
is
me.
Nate's
I hope
first
you enjoy the transitions. My administrative assistant, she dolled it up a little bit, so
That's
told her
exactly-
I'd give her the credit for that.
That's exactly what we were anticipating.
I'm sure you were. All right, so just a quick overview. I gave you guys an annual report here last week. So this first couple slides are all in that annual report as far as statistics. We have 114 total personnel attached to the Logan City Police Department. 60 of those are sworn officers. So we have 89 full-time people, and the rest are part-time with subcapacity. So quite a large staff, and but we're happy to have all of them. Our general fund allocation for the police budget is $9.9 million. That goes up as wages go up. And so obviously the bulk of that is our wages and benefits. And then the rest of it is operational. And it allows us to do all of the activities up there and a lot more. For an agency our size, we're actually able to conduct or do a lot of specialties that larger agencies do. So we're actually very proud of that. So thus far, the budget's been very, very helpful for us to do those. We're also very conscious of making sure we get rid of old expenses and bring in new as new technologies come along.
I know in the past we've had problems retaining officers. How do you feel that is going?
I'm actually going to talk about that just a little bit, so thank you for bringing that up, Mark. Appreciate that. Communication center, dispatch center, that falls under us as well, $2.7 million. You see that we have grants that come in periodically. There are more than this, but these are the major grants that we get to kind of help fund our operations. So the liquor law, alcohol enforcement, that really helps us not only to attack the DUIs or alcohol issues, but it also helps fund body cameras, in-car cameras, that sort of thing, and none of those technologies are cheap. So, and we are actually looking at another vendor for body cameras because Motorola's gotten out of control, but we're really not seeing a ton of other cheap options there. So, some of the statistics that you see right there at the top right, Logan City PD took 22,152 calls last year, 2023. That's 10,000 more than Cache County and many more than the rest. And of course, we dispatch for the entire county too. You'll notice too that even though maybe our calls down in the bottom right corner have slightly dipped in the last couple of years, you'll see on our next slide that our arrests have actually improved, or gone up, not improved, but they've increased as well. So, and then our mental health and wellness type of incidents, they take a lot of resources and many hours to deal with. They've gone up 23% in just a year. But we do now have MCOT. We love MCOT. They are very helpful to us. What's the 988, the new mental health hotline that can be called. So there's a lot more resources available to us now to refer people to when we can. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes there are crimes in progress, even with mental illness, and we have to weigh that and decide what's the best approach here. So.
How do you think the receiving center is going to affect that?
You know, I'm hopeful that it's going to really help us. It's just going to give us another really big resource that will help us to deal with, look, we're just police officers, we're peace officers. We try to keep the peace, but we don't always know how to
You
handle.
don't have a degree in psychology?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we get CIT, crisis intervention training, so it teaches us the rudimentaries about how to deal with people that are maybe mentally unwell. But I hope, we really do hope that the receiving center is going to make a big difference for us. At least a place that someone can go and cool down, calm down, receive some clinical help, and then better their lives from there. We hope that that's the case. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Jeff, can you tell me the difference between suicide and the other, the one was 7 and the other one was 271? What's the difference
Suicide,
between?
SUIC versus suicide.
So suicides are actually suicides that have occurred, and then the threatened suicides are the 271. So
Wow.
we've intervened, or someone else has intervened. We've been called to there, so that's what that is. We get a fair amount of those. As you can see, it's 3/4 of one every day that we get those. So,
Yeah.
but yes.
But it's so interesting, I'm just
I'm kind of surprised that's a big.
surprised that the number has stayed exactly the same for 3 years.
Yeah, and we're thankful for that. There's nothing more, well, that will not say that now. I want to say traumatizing to walk in on something like that. I've handled several myself, and those are the ones I remember the most.
But I'm really glad that it didn't
Yeah.
take a big jump
Yeah.
during COVID.
I want to think that not only MCOT, maybe our improved training, every officer is required to go to crisis intervention training. We're not trying to be heavy-handed. We're not trying to find a way to take them to jail unless there's absolutely no other thing we can do. We try to de-escalate, talk them down. MCOT's there, 988. All of these resources are there. I'm hopeful that that's why that number has remained static. I hope so.
Okay.
So.
Before you move on, can I ask Sure. This is a budget here, and I probably shouldn't be asking this, but your second line down, the mental subject, MSUB,
Yeah, sometimes that,
it seems like that's a lot of where your jump has been in the last
Yeah.
year from those mental health related calls.
yeah.
Is the severity of those calls the same? Are you seeing calls for less or more severe things? I mean, it's a big jump to see on that
Yeah.
number. And I was just wondering if people are calling on more things, or if it's just more calls overall, or.
Yeah, well,
And-
these are 676 calls for crisis. I mean, they are in crisis at that moment. Whether it's someone calling in saying, and I think people are more free now to speak about mental illness, mental wellness. And so when people call in, it's not just behavior that they're talking about. They're talking about diagnoses. Hey, this person has been diagnosed with this. And so we kind of just put that all under kind of one title line, basically, at dispatch. Kind of covers everything. Otherwise, we would have probably 20 or 30 different. So, yeah, but you're exactly right. It has jumped substantially, and that is what we deal with quite a bit.
It's like Mark said.
That's 2 calls a day.
Yeah,
little
it
miles
really
to a
is.
day.
And it usually happens right around swing shift when things are busy, when we're taking, accidents and traffic's going crazy. So it really does have an impact. But I'm glad that our calls remain fairly static as far as the number, 22,000, but those calls are more intense, they're more involved, and they require more resources. That's what we've seen in the last year or so. So,
Thank you.
you bet.
I don't know, I'm looking at
So just a couple other things that we have. Our accidents, 2,080, that's what we took last year in Logan City PD. 30% of those are on Main Street, and it's only getting more crowded. We know that. Interesting that our call volume has gone down slightly, but our arrest total remains static. About 10% of all our arrests are DUIs. You can see up there, 235 last year, 270 the year before. And then in dispatch, of course, they're just busy. 345 phone calls a day, 72 average 911 calls per day. So those poor ladies and guys, they are just running their fingers to death up there. So they're doing a wonderful job. We're certainly appreciative of them. So this is really my last slide of any real substance, but I'm looking ahead. I like to. I think it's important that leaders look ahead 6 months to a year down the road. I think we've done, just as Rich was talking about, done a really good job. We've experienced pay increases for the last several years, and it's been, incremental. I think ever since Mayor Peterson came in, it's really been helpful. So we're grateful for that. We have continued health insurance coverage without premiums. That's proposed again this year. And I know that that's a massive jump. That's what, a 29% jump that the city is willing to swallow. I know that was a huge bill. Our LCP entry wages, we compare well with other agencies. We have, I think, a good culture and family atmosphere. I think we showed that, particularly in this past year, a week or so with what happened. I think people trust us, trust the administration, we trust the officers. We have good equipment. We are staying up on technology. That's not cheap, but we always seem to have sufficient for what we do. We have a really good drone program right now. I'm very happy about that. It keeps our officers safe. It especially keeps our tactical teams safe when you can send a drone in ahead of them. And we're currently full with full-time officers, or will be by September. We're actually down one right now, but we got a request from an officer in San Antonio PD, has a year experience. He's a Cache Valley boy, wants to come back and be a part of us. We're like, absolutely. We interviewed him, very stellar guy, so we're excited about that. Down the road, the worries that I have, probably keeps me consistently up, and I've talked to Rich and Ambry certainly about these things, and I do appreciate, don't in any way diminish the thanks and the gratefulness I have for this city. It has treated me very well. It's treated all of us very, very well. But these are the concerns, that I have over the next year and a half. Losing 3 officers probably in the next 6 months to other agencies. That's about 34 years of experience. You just talked about that, Mark. You asked about that. What about the retention of the officers? It's not so much the early officers, it's the experienced officers. We just lost one to Brigham City, a 17-year officer. And the reason is because the wage war, this police wage war has been going on. COVID really messed a lot of things up. It really, in many ways, it's been a good thing. I started as a police officer at $10 an hour in 1997, and I was happy to have it. I was very happy to have it. Obviously, wages have gone up substantially since then, and good, because police, and you guys have seen, for some of the things that we have to put up with, we put up with a lot, and there's a lot of stresses that go along with it. But these wage wars that have happened outside of our valley traditionally have not really affected us, because in the past you've had to pick up your family and move to wherever that location was, and that was, was it really worth a $5 raise? Was it really worth a $3 raise? The problem we're seeing now, though, as I said down here, before moving a family kept officers in place, now all these departments have now expanded their boundaries. There's an Ogden officer living in Smithfield right now, so he gets to commute every day and go to Ogden, and that kills us. That really kills us, because we love our valley, right? And people really do want to stay in our valley, and it's always been a draw for keeping our officers here and not leaving other places. But now where pay, and I just talked to Chief Ray down in Brigham City, and they're an outlier. Let me tell you, we don't even compete with them. But they're competing with the Ogdens, the Laytons, the Wood Crosses, and on down. They are proposing a 12% wage increase just for their law enforcement. And I'm just like, Chad's calling me and complaining to me that he's about to lose officers down to these other cities. And I'm like, you're calling me? I mean, increasingly, you're my competition, and it's hard to keep up with you. I mean, it really is. Again, the city's been great to us. The proposal to give us a 3% raise to continue health care coverage without premiums. Look, that's huge. That's really huge, especially the officers who don't make a lot of money in the beginning. But these are the worries. This consistently probably keeps me up at night. I do one-on-one interviews with the officers. I've been doing that now. And that's the consistent thing, especially with experienced officers that come up. Hey, I hate to ask, but what's to keep me here when I can go down there and make really substantially more? And it's becoming harder and harder to kind of say, our atmosphere, and we do. We're trying to create a really good place to be. It is an awesome place to work. It really is. And I think because it is a great place to work, that's what has kept our people here. But these wage wars are just not subsiding. And so I bring that up. I've talked to Rich about all this. I've talked to Ambry. to help kind of keep some of our experienced officers. Rich and Amber have been great. They've allowed us to make some minor adjustments within our budget to help kind of keep us on par, at least with Cache County. I pointed out that they're 10,000 couples more than we are. If we are even with them, as I told Rich and Amber, then we're kind of losing because we've lost officers with them like, oh, it's an easier pace and I get paid the same thing. Why would I go there? You know, we're busier here. We are really busy here. We're a very good police department. We're consistently relied upon to provide services not only to Logan City and the 100,000 that come to shop here, you know, in any given day, but also for the other agencies that surround us. They lean on us, and we're happy to provide those services. So, but it's, you know, it's a great place. These are what keep me up at night, and you know, this budget's fairly set, and we see that. But this is something that just isn't going away, and it's a nightmare for the administrators. It's great for cops. That's the bottom line. So for me as a chief, before I was like, oh, that's that's the chief's problem. Now it's our problem. So more officers, future growth. We're seeing that. There's a ton of growth coming, and of course wellness funding. We've seen substantial benefit from officers being able to go and see a clinical therapist for free based on the trauma and whatnot that they have experienced. I know Chief Thompson talked to you guys about this last week. Mike, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're okay. I was just going to ask, how do we, I mean, obviously we're not competing wages with the Wasatch Front.
Yeah.
We're pretty competitive here in the valley.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And that's why I always emphasize we kind of have to stay at the top here in the valley because, you know, USU, they're catching up to us, Cache County's catching up to us, or want to be right with us. But I always tell those chiefs and the sheriff, I'm like, man, if you're right with us, then I'm still losing. Can't you just stay?
But we are competitive.
Behind a little bit, but yeah, absolutely. In the valley, absolutely, very, very competitive. I think our entry wage is tops. We were falling a little bit behind on the experience part of wages with the Cache County, but we have talked to Ambry and made some adjustments, so at least we can be on par with them. So we appreciate that from Rich and from Ambry. So other than that, that is my PowerPoint. But we are grateful to the citizens, city council, mayor, staff for their always great support. We hope that you feel the same from us. So any questions from me?
Of the 3 officers that you're losing, you lost 1 to Brigham City. Where did the other 2 go?
Well, so we have already lost 1 to Brigham City.
Okay.
These 3 are currently with us, but they are looking at other agencies at this time to leave. And
In the state of Utah?
Yeah, state of Utah, yeah.
Okay.
Just for better pay is their reasoning.
Yeah. Better pay or equal pay, less work. So we do see that, yeah. Now, we will lose officers every year. That's a part of the deal. We get that. One thing that other agencies are finding is, I wrote poaching in there. They have found that it's cheaper to poach an experienced officer from other agencies than it is to hire new ones, wait all that time to train them. It takes 16 weeks after the academy just to train somebody up here in Logan City. So they just, hey, we'll pay you X amount of dollars if you'll just jump over here. And like I say, that usually wasn't an enticement until now. You can live anywhere and just commute to work now. Now, it just, that hurts.
Is that a state law that changed to allow that? Or
no, just agencies
just
have opened
agency.
it up. Yeah. And I think Chief Thompson and I think right now, and it's a city ordinance, it's 20 miles for first responders. Chief Thompson and I might be approaching in a few months and say, hey, we probably would like to open up our span of where people can live here too. Housing's so expensive here, you know that. I mean, that's no secret. And for entry level, I mean, Karen was talking about entry level people, entry level officers. To buy a house here is almost impossible. You know that. So you get a lot of renters. Well, this new generation, they're happy to move anywhere for the extra buck. And when they're renting, they have no real reason to stay. So I just don't want to get us to a point where we're just consistently training. We already are, which is great, but and we've picked up wonderful officers, but nothing beats experience, nothing. So, yeah.
What boundaries do other cities have? I mean, if we're 20 miles,
Yeah.
Brigham cities, do you know offhand?
Yeah,
or
theirs is
Woods Cross or Ogden?
35.
35.
Yeah, Ogden obviously is all the way to the north border here. If they've got it varies. Every agency's differently. It's not a state law or anything. They just decide, hey, if we want to retain and attract people, we've got to open up and let people live where they are or commute from a place that they can afford a home. So.
So what you're saying is that we have it in our code, that we cannot,
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It is something that, in fact, I think we just expanded it, was it a year or two ago, from 17 to 20?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we did.
So, yeah, so it is city code.
Makes those emergency response times quicker if we need
It
them.
does, the reasoning
But
makes
I don't
sense
know
to
whether
do
it's
this,
covered, I only remember that it covered police, I didn't know that it covered fire.
It was all emergency
Yeah,
response.
I know fire has a
Yeah.
Well, I know
similar,
it was
same one.
put forward by the police department, is all I know.
Yeah, yeah. So those are the things, but don't let that diminish from the fact that we are very lucky to live and work here. So, any other questions?
Any equipment that you go, "Ah, I wish we had that."
Oh, VR technology is going crazy, you know, for training. We had a demo on that here a few weeks ago. Came in, you could basically take one of our conference rooms and turn it into whatever situation you want, hostage situation, anything, but $100,000 price tag is like, well, thank you, that was nice, but, you know, we'll wait for the price to come down. Hopefully the technology will drive those prices.
We can lease it out when it's
So
not.
lots of stuff we want, but what we need is what we have. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, sorry, I gotta take too much time.
Nope,
It's like-
nope, you're good. You are good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chief.
All right. Paul, you are up.
We left Paul
Yep, pause 20 minutes.
25 minutes here.
I want to mention I appreciate the library discussion. I had told Karen if she kept her whole discussion or 10 minutes, I'd buy her staff treats for a week. And you saved me.
We go
So you're
longer.
buying it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so wait, is she buying you?
I should have. And also, I think it was a great way to just put a cap on National Public Works Week last week for us to get together and celebrate it. So
Yes.
thanks for being here for that.
Did you guys do anything fun for it?
National Public Works.
I think they
They
painted some
poured
curbs
I was
red.
gonna say, they poured concrete and
We do fun things every week.
Yeah, they were busy painting curbs red today.
poured concrete, set a meter, and
All of the above. But thank you. As you mentioned in the beginning, we're proposing that the Public Works Department grow a little bit. We have currently 7 divisions technically as seen, and with the approval of the fiscal year 25 budget, it would be 8 divisions with the addition of a full-time emergency management position. And I have more on that in a bit. Currently, the Public Works Department has 84 full-time employees. That would be 85 with that position. Generally speaking, we'll kind of break this up, our kind of operations and maintenance budget, everyday expenses, and then Sam will address our capital plan, our capital expenses later on.
tell me there's only 85 people taking care of Public Works.
Correct. With some seasonal and
It
part-time.
seems like there's more.
It's all the energy.
They're everywhere.
Every time
Yeah.
I turn around, there's like a road closed or something.
There it is. I knew it would turn into a complaint.
Couldn't get into the cemetery today, so. Yeah.
That
You
is
needed
true.
to?
Well, it's the day after Memorial Day if you want to go water your
You still
flowers,
can,
it's
on
kinda-
10th North.
From 1200 East, you won't be able to get in. From 10th North, you can.
Yeah, you just go past the road closed sign.
Okay. Oh, just drive past?
Well, you do though. It's closed for local traffic only, so Aggie
The
Village.
sign at
Cemetery.
800 East is the
Yeah.
local traffic only.
Yeah, it just says local traffic only. I live
So you
here
still-
locally,
you
so I
still
go
can't
and
get in
come
from the north entrance.
No, it doesn't mean you live here locally, so you get to go.
I
Wait a minute, that's not what we're looking at.
thought that's what I'm doing.
Some just general budget notes for this fiscal year 25. Generally unchanged operations and maintenance, a few following exceptions. I mentioned the full-time emergency management position. Again, I've got another slide on that. We budgeted for a wastewater master plan update. With that would be a wastewater collection rate study to see where we're at on that. As the mayor proposed, the salary increases. Was a small increase in the streets maintenance budget for some material cost increases. And then there are other increases, decreases that offset each other throughout the entire budget. One goes up, another goes down. to offset that.
And that's a 3% salary increase across the board for every employee in Public Works. Is that
Average 3%.
Average, okay.
Correct.
He has to have some discretion.
I was just curious.
Rolling stock, I just highlighted kind of some notable ones. We have some other smaller items.
Perfect.
But that's a crew truck for our street concrete crew, a large 10-wheel dump truck, plow truck in the street department, a crew truck in the water division, and a dump truck. Those are the most notable rolling stock items.
How much does a 10-wheel plow / dump truck cost?
There's
What do you
three,
expect?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
You say like 300 to 400,000.
it's about 340 for the whole thing.
okay.
But we budget for the
I was
chassis.
thinking
and,
500, so I was like,
Yeah. If we get a vac truck, we can approach the 600 to 700.
yeah, that much more.
Yeah.
Are they worth that much more?
The back trucks?
Apparently, because we pay it. Yeah, but it's unreal how much they cost.
Yeah, okay.
Moving on, I mentioned, and as the mayor mentioned in her presentation with the budget, this emergency management position as an executive team discussed it and decided it was time to make that a full-time position. After some discussion, it was decided that we would house that within the Public Works Department as a new division.
Public Works. Can I ask why Public Works? Why not fire, police?
I was wondering the same thing.
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, but it's just, that seems,
We all had a feeling where it should be, and that's where it ended up.
okay.
I think it's a good place for it to start. I probably have the most passion for the position, and
Okay.
probably why it ended up in Public Works. My biggest concern was I want it to be very close to the mayor's position so that it's working closely with that. It's hard sometimes to provide support and guidance to other departments from within a department. But I think with the team we have, it'll work really well.
As we looked at it, cities have them all over the place. They have, I don't know if any had it in Public Works. Actually, I think there was.
So let's try it.
Yes.
They have it in fire, they have it in police.
That's right, that makes more
legal.
sense to
They
me.
have it outside of that in
Legal.
the mayor's
I
office.
can see it in legal.
Legal makes no sense.
They have it, so
Legal tells everyone what to do.
Environmental.
legal being risk management.
Right, legal makes
And
sense.
so it could really be anywhere. And I think all of those cities probably traded around.
Yeah.
We, way back in the day, had it, was it part Public Works back in the day?
Yes, it
Well-
went from Public Works to fire.
To fire, and now it's kind of back to Public Works with a full-time.
Yeah.
They'd get a
So-
nicer office in the new
So
fire
this
station.
person will be part of the executive committee too, or no? Or just,
It'd just be a manager answering to Paul.
Okay.
But this position would answer to the mayor for emergencies.
And the mayor and I have talked about ways to, I don't know, almost make it a quasi-executive staff in a way to meet regular meetings with the mayor, one-on-one, or one-on-one with me to go through stuff. And
right.
so it has that, I don't know what you want to call it, support of administration,
Yeah.
a clout. Sam and I just attended the Utah Emergency Management Association Annual Conference, UEMA, as an acronym I learned. And I think we were the only Public Works employees at the conference. And it was interesting as I talked to people. There was one in particular, Brigham City's emergency manager, I talked to her. And she said, man, I would love that, because she is her own department, and they have a part-time mayor, if I remember right. And she said, I often feel just not a part of anything.
What's going on? Yeah.
I don't get updates that the departments get and stuff like that. So I think it has its advantages as well.
Maybe
Yeah, I was going to say at that conference, when we told them Public Works was having, everyone was actually very supportive and said, oh, that makes sense, because fire and police respond to the initial emergency, and we're using the day 2 emergency and for the continuing on. So it's a little different, but I think there's a lot of support for it.
So maybe we need to poach her from Brigham City then.
So we're talking about,
Payback.
We invited a lot of people to apply.
There's no 30-mile radius for
Yeah.
for emergency.
so the emergency
I mean,
management
maybe we
position
should.
as it's
If we have an emergency, one would be fairly
conceptualized
close, you know. So.
is not, it's for preparing for and an organized way to deal with, say, the hillside being on fire or a water line breaking in
Correct. The goal is, I think every department on their own does a very good job of handling emergencies. When it grows to a multi-department response, it's making sure we're prepared for communication methods, for the equipment, who has what. There's a lot of mitigation and emergency plans that are required from different agencies or set you up for grants. This position would manage all of that citywide. Not necessarily tell police how to respond to emergency, but tell Public Works and police how to respond together and communicate when the EOC is activated, Emergency Operations Center. Who's there and what's their role? When a large response, an earthquake, a hillside, and the dispatch gets overwhelmed, that EOC could take over receiving calls, and then each department would say, okay, we're taking that. Because dispatch doesn't send out Public Works or Light and Power. So it's that multi-departmental response being prepared for that.
Okay.
So it's going to take a little while for us to
Fair.
like figure out that position too, and what their responsibilities
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
are. I mean, we'll have a job description, but there's going to be
Because
some
I think right now,
details to
like
figure out.
Parks and Rec, they go out every day and measure the river twice a day. And so, they're sort of doing a bit of an emergency response, just doing that.
Right.
So it's,
And it's a lot of those efforts, so we're not duplicating efforts as well.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know Parks was doing that, because we're doing that as well.
well, somebody told me they were doing, Russ Akina told me they were doing
It
it.
is.
So
So,
So,
yeah, I don't know.
our Capital Works capital program, or excuse me, Public Works capital program, biggest thing, if you look in the mayor's proposed budget, there are several funds. Sam will talk to projects more than line items and account numbers, but we include Fund 100, 3 different accounts in there, portions of Fund 300, Fund 510, and Fund 580 are the biggest parts that we cover there. And again, we'll present that more as a project-by-project basis versus line item by line item.
Yeah, I think in total, depending on the area, how many grants, we have 14 to 20 accounts that we use for our Public Works capital. This first slide is just kind of an update on where we are with projects that were funded in previous fiscal years. Paul did a really good update back in March on all these projects. You'll see on there that we've got a very busy summer. I think we all recognize that as we drive around. And we've got some projects, a lot of projects that are going to wrap up this year that we're excited about. I don't know if you have any specific questions on any of these in particular, but you will see these projects under construction out and about in town. So we've highlighted kind of what we're funding, what projects we're funding out of these funds for this next fiscal year. 10th North, 6th West is one of our next big road projects. Similar to the intersections of 14th North, 6th West and 18th North, 6th West, there'll be a traffic light with a railroad crossing. The railroad coordination is going better this time, which is great. We're still crossing our fingers, holding our breath. It'll continue. And kind of because of that railroad coordination, we're anticipating, probably not next summer, but the summer after, we'll build that project. So in this budget, you're approving our kind of final money for that. We're hoping to pursue some COG grants for that. You'll see us coming back later this summer for your support on a grant for that. First North Bridge, we funded a little bit last year. If you remember, we're funding more this year. We're still a couple years out on that one. It's the bridge into like Sumac.
Oh, I was gonna say
I was like, where's the bridge on First North?
Yeah, over the
You
Logan
know where it is.
into Sumac.
Ernesto's familiar.
You don't need a bridge.
We don't need a bridge. You can jump it.
Yeah.
We
A
are,
pulley system across the.
Friday of this week, we will get our costs back from design firms to begin that design process. So this summer we'll be kicking that off and getting ready to start that design and be
Is
ready.
there an anticipation that that intersection will change at all?
I would anticipate that yes, that intersection of Crockett Avenue and First North
Yeah.
will shift most likely to the west, but that's part of this design, is figuring out what the best alignment is for that intersection.
But we own those properties right now.
We have, over the years, you're correct, as those homes and properties have come for sale, we have bought them in preparation for this.
Is there any property surrounding it that we'd still need to purchase?
That's what this design process will tell us. We don't know what those will be yet.
Okay.
4th North, 6th West to 8th West. That one has been on our budget sheets for a couple years, and it'll continue to be on them for at least another this year and probably another 2 more. We're currently working through design, and we are the last couple weeks actually started making offers on right-of-way to property owners along 6th West. So that project is continuing. Again, construction is still a couple years out, but these projects take a long time to get right-of-way, get queued up, get our money. We'll be applying for grants for this one as well in future years. So.
And also to get the neighborhood happy enough for it to happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been a good, and
Because that changed on the transportation master plan, roughly, last year, didn't it? We talked about this
We made
briefly.
a change, yeah.
Yeah.
as I say, that one has been a good experience for us working with the neighborhood. It's been a good.
Can you
good-
go back? Can you go back a slide? I see First West, my new favorite road. I love First West.
We were gonna change that picture out, but
We like.
we haven't done that. We haven't got
Do we have an official name for that bridge yet? We
Is
should
there
name
any
it.
reason why the speed
best
is so
bridge.
high on that piece of road?
Why the
I
what is
think
so
everybody
high?
just drives fast on there.
No,
I'd say
the
what?
speed limit is 40, 35, or 40
Probably
until you
35.
cross the bridge.
It's
35.
35.
And then it's
It was
25.
25, yeah.
I don't know why it's not
Commercial to residential.
25 the whole way.
We just set it to 20?
yeah, it's more that. I mean, we've had discussions about it. There haven't been problems yet, but that was what it was designed for, and
I love that word, that phrase. That's what it was designed for. It was designed for this speed.
I get confused. What phrase should I say?
Jeannie, I have a proposition. If we put some bike lanes on First West,
Yes, there we go.
that'll narrow the road. It'll be designed for 25 now.
There are bike.
It has bike roads.
Protected bike lanes.
Okay.
Sorry. Let me clarify.
He's so specific on those.
But, no, I've just, no, I
Thank you
just
for
heard that a lot from
for
UDOT.
accommodating me.
Well, the
going
road
back
is
to it.
designed
Yes.
for this speed. I'm like, well,
Love that.
maybe
road.
we don't want
It is a
that
good road.
That's the
speed.
best.
That's true. I'm just saying that's.
It's designed for.
You can drive slower if you want, Jeannie.
What?
I said you can drive slower on it if you want.
People
I do all the
there's
time.
People
I drive
drive
the
20
20
on there, you know, so it's just like.
I joined the view off the bridge.
It's hard to catch air off that bridge at a slow.
What if you have a dump truck?
Yeah.
Easier?
A Mac. If it's a Mac, then it's okay.
Oh, my stars. It's all going south.
This slide is specific to the water fund. 10th North, 6th West is obviously up there again. The water department we hope to do projects once and do them once well. And so while we're redoing that intersection, the water department is planning to upgrade and replace aging pipes under that intersection. So some of their funding this year is going towards that project. DeWitt Fiber, Light and Power talked about that as one of their projects. We also are budgeting to run our fiber up to our spring. DeWitt Springs is the major water source for the city. Right now we have fiber on overhead power poles. We basically rent from Rocky Mountain Power rent space. As part of this project, we can get our fiber underground, a little bit more
Won't
reliable.
Google do that for you? Sorry.
If there was a way, I'm sure they would find it.
For someone else to pay for.
1150 North, another area in town that is maybe a little bit of a hot spot for leaks. So this project will replace some aging water lines up there. We've done previous projects up in that area. This is kind of the next step up there. And concrete collars, the water fund, in addition to our streets fund and stormwater fund, putting money towards upgrading like around manholes, around valves, so they are less of a jarring pothole
Nice
level of out.
motorcycle. Got it.
In our sewer fund, North Logan's trunk line, there's a main 48-inch trunk line that feeds kind of the northwest corner of Logan City a little bit, but primarily North Logan City. We've had an agreement, a cost-sharing agreement in place for years and working on installing this pipeline. There's a couple more phases left. The bulk of the responsibility is now starting to shift to North Logan, and we just help financially. But so this will be another chunk of funds for that project.
Is that part of Second North? We talked about doing Second North at 1.2, or is that future?
This would not be under Second North. This project goes from our north city boundary to about 6 south. That's where it catches and runs to the treatment plant. We've done under.
There's your second.
Oh, the Second North.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that was like sewer too.
That is sewer.
Okay,
That is
okay.
sewer.
All right.
A little different, but yes, sure. Yeah, so this one, we've done under 14th North intersection, we did under the 18th North intersection. We've got a little piece through BTEC's property, and a little bit more on 6th West. That we need.
Yeah, it goes like by the Holiday Inn too, doesn't it? Isn't it out that far?
Yes, it connects all the way up into North Logan, yes, up
Yeah.
on the northern city boundary. Yeah.
Okay.
And then sewer linings, if we can catch it early, it's cheaper to pull a new pipe through the old pipe. We don't have to tear up the road, we don't have to shut down for as long. So we try to catch those when we can, and we're putting some money towards those projects.
Did you finish the one on First North?
I
Let's move on.
think so.
Let's move on.
You're correct. There are times where it's hard if conditions sometimes need to be perfect for it, and we've found a couple where we thought we could do it, and it turns out we couldn't.
Well, there's a lot of springs over there, and it's just like it was wet all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
That was it.
Yeah, it was tough.
Lastly, facilities. Mike Miller, our facilities manager, is going through the building, this building specifically, upgrading HVAC controls. And in this next fiscal year, hoping to put a chunk towards the police building so we can upgrade. And I honestly don't know all the details, but bring it up to better HVAC controls that are more current.
So not the HVAC units, but just the
No, more of the controls. My understanding is that like you'll be able to program room by room rather than just the building. So we've been going through City Hall, and a lot of City Hall is already upgraded. It's just systematically moving through. We have one more facilities project, but Paul is going to talk about it. It's kind of our big one.
Just wanted to highlight, as you're aware, for several years, we have been planning for, saving for started with a roof on the service center, and now we're having discussions on how to replace the service center, planning a larger horizon and a larger project. We've done a feasibility study over the last 2 years to determine what's appropriate with that. Through that, we found to rebuild on our current site versus moving to a off-site location or other property. We want to highlight especially because in fiscal year 25, we have budgeted $1.5 million to begin the design of that facility and that campus. And then there'd be more money allocated in future years for the construction of that project. We feel we've identified that as probably the biggest need in the city in the next 10 years as far as the facilities go. If it is not replaced within maybe about the next 3 to 5 years, we need to have discussions about major upgrade to the existing facility to keep it going. Right now, every time it leaks or something happens, we say, go put a Band-Aid on it. Yeah. And we keep putting them on, and we've done well with Band-Aids thus far. We feel this project be a solution for multiple city departments, specifically Public Works, Parks and Rec, Light and Power, and give us some breathing room here in City Hall as well into the future. And it would put the entire city in a really good position facility-wise.
You've spoken with Karen about sharing offices for a little while you build in place.
We're going to move a mechanic.
We've gotten good at sharing offices, but there are limits there. We wanted to highlight that project specifically.
So just budgeting money for design right now.
Correct.
Okay.
In fiscal year 25.
Okay, Amy's question was, are new projects considering bike lanes?
in the course of their design?
I did not text Amy. For the record.
She said as able.
So every project we do, number one, we go to the bike and ped plan and make sure if that plan has a facility identified on that project, we make sure we're not precluding it and hopefully including it. And then secondly, every time we do a road, we have discussions among staff of, is this a road appropriate, and if so, what type of facility? So yes, we always have discussions, and almost every one that I think that was on that plan includes them.
Okay, includes
Now, I
community
need to
development?
discuss, go ahead, sorry.
Includes community development in those
Yes.
discussions?
Correct.
Okay.
And when we do that, then I think the next discussion is what type of facility, not just bike lane. Does it become shared use path, separated bike lane, something else?
It's going to be constructed for 40 miles an hour.
We'll design it for that.
Yeah, it's going to be designed.
The bike lane might
Yes.
only be 25, but it'll be designed for 40.
You
so.
just said. You said, well, the road's designed
We're
for
not designing a
35.
bike lane for 40 miles an hour.
The scariest thing to me is,
All electric bikes are like 35 now. It's like,
when you start looking at
State code is
e-bikes,
28.
they scare me to death. I want
28
to give you an
miles.
update real quick before we go to questions. A while back, I came and brought a change to right-of-way permit fees and told you I'd come back with some updates.
yes.
I started getting specific numbers. I didn't bring them tonight, so I don't want to get too much into the weeds. But this year especially, those changes in right-of-way permit fees, we implemented the new position with an inspector supervisor position. We feel that's been very, very useful, that it's had great results. I know our inspection supervisor put a priority on making sure, the little things of finishing a job, the restoration of the area, tracking. I think we've always done very good with the large projects, capital projects, and then we get 300 right-of-way permits on top of that to keep
Right.
track of.
Yeah.
And it's been very helpful. This year specifically with Google Fiber, and I'm not at all painting them as a bad player because they've been excellent to work with, but those fees have allowed us to bring on a third-party inspector that focuses just on them. They're with them, they're responding to things, and it's been very helpful because of what we set up in that. Without that, I'm not sure how we would have absorbed the Google Fiber workload. They take a blue staker 3 days a week from his normal duties just for Google Fiber.
The whole day.
Yeah, it's amazing the production they do. We also are hoping this summer to get a part-time position through our normal allocation of part-time money, and we've decreased our engineering intern hours, those sort of things to fund this for permit processing, following up on permits. Are they closing on time? Are they getting their inspections recorded? All of that. That'll be very helpful with that as well.
That'll be wonderful. Wonderful. It'll
Matter of
be,
fact, we hope that position is posted tomorrow.
it'll be good for the city as a whole because I think
Yeah.
it will be the citizens, I mean, Tony's been in here countless times because they ripped up his yard more times than he can
And
count.
I want to give our inspectors credit. They have really
See any time.
stepped up those sort of things, those sort of customer complaints. Because it was brought up, I was going to give an update on Union Pacific real quick. UDOT and all of the efforts we made at the legislature, going to the Capitol and testifying, those things, they created a whole new rails division within UDOT, who all of our interactions with Union Pacific now go through the rails division at UDOT.
The ombudsman, I had the first meeting with him.
And it's been fantastic. He reaches out to me monthly and just says, hey, do you have any problems? What do you need me to do? How can I help? If you remember the agreement we made with Union Pacific at 1400 North, while we had a restraining order against us, we added a line item in there that if any, I can't remember how I worded it, but if any future unanticipated sources of funds became available, that we would use that to pay the fees we negotiated. and UDOT reached out to me and just said, hey, that line item's in your agreement, so I'm gonna pay all those fees, you don't have to anymore. So we're not paying those fees that we agreed, UDOT is covering them, it's been great. So, all of our efforts, I feel, were extremely worth it.
Well, I think the airport would agree with you.
Painful at the time, but
Absolutely.
good now.
But it was good. I just want to echo the good that's happened, and thank you for the support of our budgets and what we do.
Yeah. What does Sam have to do now? The library's done and
You know, people keep asking me that.
the fire station's done, all those like awesome big projects we're working on, so.
Oh, I think the mayor has more in her,
Yeah.
more in her, side
We'll just
pocket.
design a new service center or something, I don't know.
But, no, I would honestly say over time, and I've been here a while, it's been nice to have Public Works be more engaged both with the communities that are impacted by the decisions on roads and also working directly with community development so that we begin to integrate, the bike and the pedestrian and the car
I didn't text
into
Jeannie either.
everything in the city. What?
Keep going.
Mike said he didn't text you either.
Every time a bike comes up, they both look at me, so I'm just saying.
I purposely did, I just stood at my feet.
I saw that.
But no, I do want to say that it has been a great improvement over the last 5 years even, just in the level of communication interdepartmentally so that we are creating a city that we all agreed we were creating instead of creating a city for cars over here and pedestrians over here.
Good,
So
Yeah.
that's the goal.
I
I
appreciate
think
that.
even with the flooding last year, you had a lot of like public outreach. You spent a lot of time with the community. I think it was a really good opportunity for that. How often do you get to go do sandbags with everybody? But I mean, that was a great PR opportunity for us. We didn't really have to use them, but
I hope we don't have to do it for a long time.
ever again. Yeah.
We do view those as opportunities after the fact.
It was a great opportunity. Yeah, I think it was, and you did a very good job reaching out to the community as well too. So
Good.
for sure.
So, questions, since that's up there, and I think we covered this, but how confident do we feel on that 1.5 design fee budget for designing the service center? We feel like that's, because you've got that in next year's budget. Do you think that's enough?
That's, to give you an idea, that's based off of our estimated construction cost,
Okay.
and then take the normal
And that's it.
design percentage for that type of project is how we got there.
Oh, he didn't ask that question. We asked that question in the meeting. Because
Right.
you said the exact same thing.
It's not just a swag,
It's
based on
it's
the,
based on the cost of the project.
not just a guess.
Yeah, it's a percentage of the cost of the project.
We'll leave that acronym in the trenches, sorry.
But normally in that cost, it's not just the design, but it's for the architects to walk you through the whole project.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's
And that
not-
is included in
Yeah,
next
it's
year's
not
budget.
just,
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a couple sketches together and away we
It's
go.
not like being movie.
Yeah.
I hope not for that.
Yeah.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
when would that design be ready?
Our goal is to be ready for construction by January of 2026.
So sometime next
So I
year.
would say fall of '25. I hope the design, a year from, 14 months from now would be great.
Okay.
That's the 1.5 million for the architect to come and hold your hand to the whole project, right?
Well, hopefully we
Sam
can
said.
do it much like we did the library,
Yeah,
where you had that.
Absolutely. I thought that was great. So,
The engineering team actively involved in the construction as well.
Yeah,
And
that would be our intent.
And then Sam will have something to
To
do.
do again.
Yeah, he won't have anything to do for the next 16 months.
I gotta start doing more, guys. Wow.
You know what we could build?
Yeah.
I have an idea.
There's a couple of things we could
It starts with a B and an L.
All right, any other questions for Paul and Sam? Thank you, thank you.
One more question.
Oh, hold on.
You do have it's in your budget for the emergency manager. That's in your
Yes.
budget for next year. Okay.
It's
DEM. Okay.
Division 125, if I remember right, 145, 125 within public.
145. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Okay, you're impressed, aren't you?
He remembered.
He looks like he's tired.
Okay.
He's ready to go home.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. All right.
Amy has
The rock
dropped
that holds
off.
back government
Amy has
spending.
dropped off? Okay,
Yes.
we can leave then. Yeah. Any other questions for Rich in our general question and answer? Are we like good? Are we feeling comfortable with our
We're feeling pretty good.
budgets? I think everyone did a great job sharing information with us. So if there is no other business, we are adjourned. Out of here.
Richard.